Israel is getting annihilated again inside of the Gaza Strip now, with more footage coming from the Palestinian resistance destroying Israeli terror forces D9 bulldozers. So there was a confrontation between the Palestinian resistance and the terror forces in the Khan Yunis area, and the Palestinian resistance published this video here, of course destroying trees, houses, everything. This is what they're good at. And the Palestinian resistance waiting for them in Khan Yunis, and then they target this D9 bulldozer with a Yasin 105, which is a Palestinian-made RPG, and they exploded completely. Khan Yunis is an area that Israel went in and out of more than 5 times with the majority of their brigades. Now Israel is pushing for the majority of its forces inside of the Gaza Strip at a reduced number because, well, not everyone is going in there. They're taking people with PTSD, mental illness, people with disabilities, people with no experience, people with no training. Benjamin Netanyahu is sending everyone to go and die for him inside of the Gaza Strip in a hopeless situation, by the way. And this just proves again and again that the Palestinian resistance is indeed there. It's confronting Israel every single day, and Israel has no answer to what the Palestinian resistance is doing. And this is something that the retired Major General Yitzhak Brik spoke about in a recent article that he had in the Israeli newspaper Ma'arif that I wanted to share with you. Palestine Chronicle actually shared parts of this article. In this article, he was talking about a collective suicide that's happening in Israel, and he gave it the title, Hamas has defeated us. Retired Israeli Major General Yitzhak Brik. And he's saying that what Israel is doing is collective suicide. Now, according to the argument of the retired Major General Yitzhak Brik, he's saying that, well, we've been conducting this operation for so long, and we haven't been achieving any of the objectives that Benjamin Netanyahu has been talking about. The Palestinian fighters are operating in every single part of the Gaza Strip. They are over the ground. They're fighting us. They're moving freely from one place to another. And that's something that I've been covering all along so that people can know what's happening on the ground, because Israel tries to depict a different image, of course, all the time to justify its ongoing atrocities and to delegitimize the Palestinian resistance, and also take down the morale of the people who support Palestine and support its legitimate resistance. Now, according to Brik, he's saying that the Palestinian resistance is moving everywhere freely, and we are the ones who are running around like headless chickens, basically, not knowing what on earth we're doing there. And some of his most striking notes in his article, by the way, he said that the IDF is almost unable to harm Hamas. Listen to this. But mainly uninvolved Gazan residents who are mainly harmed by the Air Force's bombings. Adding that Hamas fighters operate freely in tunnels while Israeli forces continue to suffer mounting casualties. In the meantime, the kidnapped will die in the tunnels, and many more of our soldiers will be wounded and killed. He also warned of imminent financial collapse. That's something that not many people talk about, the financial situation in Israel. The Ministry of Finance announces that at this rate, within a few weeks, the state budget will run out, and we have not yet reached the middle of the year. And he concluded with this forecast: they are leading the people of Israel to collective suicide. Brik, retired Major General, always in contact, by the way, with decision makers. He has been in contact with Benjamin Netanyahu multiple times for the past 2 years. He's in constant contact with people who are serving inside of the Gaza Strip, who give him the reports that are actually happening on the ground, the realities of the battlefields, unlike, of course, what's being portrayed in the media. Sometimes, due to his position and due to the fact that he's not serving and he is at liberty to talk more freely, he will say, I have people who are serving in Gaza, for example, who have been telling me what's happening, and it's nowhere near what the Israeli authorities are telling us, let alone Benjamin Netanyahu and his whole propaganda to try and justify the continuation of the genocide. So this is again another reminder for everyone, really, coming from the horse's mouth, as they say, a man who is currently dealing with people who are inside of the Gaza Strip, speaking with people in the military leadership and the political leadership too, and who has been an IDF made general for many years, who knows Israel very, very deeply. That's the second thing that I wanted to talk to you about. Now, yesterday we spoke about the information that Iran gathered from Israel. It was reported and it was starting to circulate very much on social media and multiple news networks. Now we have a confirmation. The intelligence minister of Iran, Ismail Khatib, actually confirmed that they got this shipment dealing with all of the secrets of Israel. They're calling it a treasure in Iran. And he also said that they will be publishing some of this information very soon. Let's have a look at what he said in this short clip here that he had on Press TV.
A comprehensive and multifaceted operation was planned in this direction, the beginning of which involved infiltration, utilization of sources, and gaining access to those sources. By divine grace, it has now become possible for us to witness this important treasure today. The complete nuclear documents have been obtained and transferred, and there are also other documents related to the US, Europe, and other countries. These are intelligence documents that contribute to enhancing Iran's offensive power. Just as these documents are important, the methods of their transfer are equally significant. Therefore, we safeguard both the transfer methods and the documents themselves. Just as the timing of announcing this matter was carefully chosen to ensure their secure transfer to the country, naturally, the transfer methods will also remain protected, but we will soon publish the documents.
Ismail Khatib's remarks came a day after Iranian intelligence sources said that Tehran has acquired a wealth of sensitive intelligence from Israel. They said the abundance of documents is...
So this is a very interesting development, by the way. This is the first confirmation coming from Iran. Initially, when the report came out, Iran did not say anything about this. But now you have the intelligence minister confirming that they indeed have this information. Now they have obtained it. All of the information is now inside of Iranian territories. Again, hinting that, well, there could have been hard copies. This is something that we spoke about yesterday. And that they will be releasing some of this information very soon. That's also something very interesting. Israel and lots of people were casting doubt at everything, but now the Iranians are saying, no, we will actually release more information. Now, we've been talking about the flotilla and the people trying to go and have this symbolic support for the people of Gaza on this humanitarian mission. And guess what? Britain is even spying on them. I mean, 200 mission spies. Britain, isn't that enough for Israel conducting a genocide? I mean, we thought that Britain would fly over Gaza to gather some evidence to be used against Israel and in the international courts. But no, Britain instead decides to be complicit and support Israel with spying even on peace activists. How much does it cost the British forces to go and fly this spy mission in that area for the sake of Israel? By the way, look at this report here. Britain sends another spy flight from RAF Akrotiri, Cyprus basically, over Gaza to collect intelligence for Israel as the Madleen is threatened by the regime. Imagine that. What is Greta Thunberg and her fellow activists holding on that ship? It's very small, number one. They said that they have about a ton of aid. Very, very dangerous stuff. I mean, probably some medical equipment and maybe some food, God forbid. But still, Britain is insisting on supporting this genocide up until the last minute. And forget about all of the act, by the way. Lots of European countries, and sometimes you'll hear statements from the United States. Yeah, a bit of shift of tone here and there. These people are complicit. Most of them are still complicit, and they have back ways of supporting Israel. Bar very few, by the way. And Britain has been one of the fiercest countries in support of this genocide since the beginning. And this is another evidence that they are still complicit in this genocide. And I wouldn't be surprised if that jamming, by the way, was coordinated between the RAF and the IAF. And they could have done something to jam it potentially, because there's clear evidence being reported too. Now, Israel has been confirming and actually bragging about collaborating with ISIS in Gaza in the past couple of days. And we're having more and more revelations. So initially they said, yeah, we're dealing with these people. They were linked with ISIS, but they were only linked with ISIS for economic purposes, not for any other purposes, economic purposes. Then they had another report saying that these people are criminals. They deal with prostitution and with drug smuggling and potentially human trafficking too. Then today they had another report saying that, you know what, these people, we don't know if they would be even obedient to us. Previously, some members of them, they launched missiles on Israel before, and we wouldn't be able to necessarily protect ourselves from these people. But now we have another interesting revelation. What is this revelation? Well, a man who is dealing with this militia that Israel is managing inside of the Gaza Strip, this man over here, this was circulating as well on social media, again. Look at this. He's carrying weapons. They're operating in the east of Rafah under Israeli protection. His name is Ghassan al-Dahini, the actual person responsible for the militia that is cooperating with the Israeli occupation and genocide forces. But look at something here in this video. It's going to be very interesting, and it raised a lot of questions on social media, is the fact that he has an Emirati number plate. Can you see this here? It says Sharqa. Sharjah. That's the United Arab Emirates. Now, again, this video has been circulating on social media, and people are asking questions. What is an Emirati number plate doing with this man? And then again, he, according to Rust, this network, by the way, said that he also published another video of a truck taking military equipment through the deserts. Which deserts are we talking about? That's the video of him several days back, by the way, that I published after the Palestinian resistance had an ambush against this militia and basically blew the heads off some of these people, because they said we're going to consider them IDF and we will treat them accordingly. But the main question, this was released by Al-Qassam Brigades, by the way, but the main question is, well, what is this number plate about? How is he getting this number plate there, right? An Emirati number plate. And does it have to do with a connection between the two? Are they funding him? And if they are funding him and supporting him, how are they getting this inside of the Gaza Strip? Where is it coming from? Lots of questions being raised about this. But what's for sure is that these people are, well, clearly equipped, clearly supported. Israel already confirmed that they support these people, arm them, and fund them too. And then they're actively showing themselves in the streets and not denying, at least, that they are operating with Israel. Now, the final thing that I wanted to talk to you about is this move here coming from Donald Trump. Zelensky is saying that the United States sent 20,000 missiles bound for Ukraine to the Middle East instead. Ukraine and Russia have been exchanging heavy blows, well, considered to be the heaviest since the beginning of the war between the two countries in 2022. And Russia has been having daily attacks of drones, Shahid drones to be precise, Iranian, with Iranian support, of course, for Russia. Hundreds of them, 500 reported in the past few days, 500 a day or a night. And of course, Ukraine, it needs missiles to intercept them. Now, the United States was carrying out a shipment to Ukraine, and Zelensky is now confirming that the United States diverted the shipment. This report said that they were originally intended for Ukraine to combat Russian Shahid drones to the Middle East, according to Zelensky, in an interview that he had with ABC. And Zelensky said, "We have major problems with Shahids, which are the Iranian drones. We're fighting them, and of course, we'll find tools to destroy them. But we had found something and decided, I think it was under the previous administration, it was Defense Secretary Austin, we settled on a project, and we were counting on it. 20,000 missiles to fight Shahids. It wasn't expensive, but it was a special technology. We were counting on these 20,000 missiles. This morning, my defense minister told me that the United States has transferred them to the Middle East." Now, Donald Trump has been critical of the war between Russia and Ukraine. He tried to mediate, tried to reach a ceasefire. It clearly hasn't worked yet. But the fact that he is moving now shipments that were meant to protect Ukraine in the middle of the war, that can be considered somewhat support for Russia. He's favoring Russia over Ukraine now, because if he's not helping Ukraine defend themselves against any Russian attacks, that means he's not really caring about the situation, or then he wants to apply pressure on Zelensky to give in and make it easier for Vladimir Putin to achieve his objectives and goals. Another thing is, well, he's moving them to the Middle East. And if he's moving them to the Middle East, there's one country that is involved in a genocide. It's called Israel. It might be facing a big attack if it dares to go and conduct an act against Iran. And if Iran sends drones to Israel like they have before, although the second Iranian attack in the past year and a half only included hypersonic ballistic missiles, approximately most of them, but the initial attack in April 2024 included hundreds of drones. It was considered to be, at the time, the biggest drone attack in history, as in one go. Well, Israel would need them. Is he going to send them to Israel and hide it, or keep it with the United States forces inside of the region in case there's an attack coming from Iran that would include drones, so that they can be used against them? That raises more questions about the real intentions of the United States with Iran, especially with the fact that we haven't seen a ceasefire. No adequate pressure is being applied on Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu to stop the genocide and barbarism inside of the Gaza Strip. All we're having is, well, lip service coming from American and European leaders. No concrete actions yet. Nothing that reached a level that it's stopping Israel. And guess what? They have the power to. They have the power to give Israel an ultimatum to stop the genocide, but they're not. so far, and that makes them complicit. I mean, we already know they're complicit, but it's proving again that they're complicit. The talks are not going the way they, well, were intended to go in the beginning between Iran and the United States. The United States still confirming that it wants Iran to stop enriching uranium. That's a red line for the Iranians. The Iranians will never stop enriching uranium for the sake of the United States or Israel or anyone else. It's a case of sovereignty and dignity. So where are things going? Trump has told Benjamin Netanyahu, don't attack. We don't want an attack against Iran, although they're having these unsuccessful talks at the moment. Lord knows if we will have a breakthrough. But more and more reports are talking about Israeli preparedness to conduct an attack against Iran. And the United States, at that point, will be forced in the picture. It will be forced into the battle because Iran will be attacking United States bases. That's the latest confirmation from Iran that we heard from the Iranian officials several months back. If there's an Israeli attack on us, American bases in Arab countries surrounding us, despite our brotherly, relations with them, they will be attacked because the Iranians are not convinced that America will not be supporting Israel, by the way. Which means that there's something going on there, something very suspicious. And the talks about this Israeli preparation and Benjamin Netanyahu is really serious about going on this war with Iran to save himself from his internal situation. They're getting more and more momentum because Benjamin Netanyahu is facing collapse. There's a motion against him to dissolve the Israeli Knesset. Members of his coalition are going to vote for it. That would put Benjamin Netanyahu in an imminent risk of his government collapsing. If his government collapses, that means he will not be voted again. Very unlikely that Benjamin Netanyahu will win any election after this. But the most dangerous thing is he will lose some of those things that he's enjoying now as a prime minister. For example, banning an inquiry from happening about the 7th of October, an independent inquiry or state inquiry, full inquiry. Getting away and delaying his court cases and hearings, escaping, having excuses, still managing to dictate what happens inside of Israel with certain appointments, sacking certain people, bringing other people aboard, and also challenging the Supreme Court or the High Court in Israel. And all of the other perks that come with the position of the Prime Minister. This is a lot of pressure on him. And if that for Benjamin Netanyahu, as suicidal as it may sound, by the way, because like we quoted Brick earlier on, Israel is already committing mass suicide with what it's doing inside of the Gaza Strip, and Hamas has indeed defeated us, according to him. Netanyahu wouldn't really care, and he would potentially go for that final blow with Iran, even if it would entail the risk of landing an attack on Israel, landing a blow on Israel so hard that Israel would not be able to get out of.